Welcome to the Empowered Embodiment Revolution, where women leaders reveal how to liberate yourself from body battles so you can follow your heart, own your power, and shine in the world. I'm Darlene Downing, and I am your host for this event, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. I have with me today WildFlower. She's someone who I recently met. She came into my universe, and she has some really cool information to share around weight release that isn't talked about often, and we're going to get to that later on in the interview. I am so thrilled to share her with you. Hi, WildFlower.
Aloha, Darlene. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm thrilled that you are here. So I'm going to offer your official bio here to our community so they can feel into a little bit more about you and what you're up to. She is an internationally renowned psychic medium. She's the founder of WildFlower Institute, which combines ancient wisdom with practical techniques that make sense for today's fast-paced world. In 2003, WildFlower realized that she'd been using the excess fat on her body as a physical shield to block out the energies and emotions she felt from other people, instead of letting her own aura, her energetic field, do its job properly. As she realized this, she created her own program to lose weight once and for all. It's called the Energetic Weight Loss, and yay, success. WildFlower personally lost over 50 pounds by using the technique she developed and has kept it off for over 12 years and has inspired thousands of others to do the same. So welcome, WildFlower. So happy to have you here today.
Thanks, Darlene. Thank you. I really love what you're doing here with empowering women to really know more about their bodies and to really, be able to have the tools to improve their lives. I think it's just very important. So glad to be part of it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So our theme is empowered embodiment, and I've been inviting each of the speakers to define that, like how they see that. To you, what does it mean to be an empowered embodiment?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. Really, I think it's just very simple. I think it's just, acknowledging that you are a spiritual being in a, human body for a certain period of time, and that you want to enjoy yourself. And by, gaining more knowledge about how you can better care for both your body and your spirit and your mind, the whole body, mind, spirit thing, I think it gets too complicated. In a lot of different ways. There's so many different people that talk about it, and body, mind, spirit balance. What is this? What does this mean? I think it's very simple. I think it's just plain and simply realizing, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. I mean, that's like, one of the oldest ways of saying it. But, but it's true. And I think that by looking at things from that context, it really allows you to kind of take a step back. And that's what I'm going to invite every woman that's watching this today to do, is just, allow this to be what I call the green room of your life. And what I mean by that is, okay, so for actors in a theater or musicians, right, before they go on stage and after they get off stage, they have what's called a green room. They have a room to hang out in. Now, this is not just a room to, go party in, although that can be the case. As a musician myself, I'm quite familiar with this whole concept. It can be a room to party in, but before the show, it's generally a room to go and get connected to your spirit in. It's a time to get really grounded and get really focused, because when you're about to go on stage, there's so many people that have questions for you. There's so much going on. Does my mic work? Does this work? Is this working? And you know what? You've got to go on and entertain thousands or millions of people. So in order to do that, you need to get into a good place, and that's what the green room is for. And now if you look at your life itself as you're kind of being on stage for a bit. You're kind of going and going and going each day, and you're not really taking the time out to stop and evaluate. Stop and evaluate, and stop and just take a moment to just look. And I also like to call it the Hubble telescope view. So we're in the green room right now. I'll invite you to just be in my green room here for a minute while we're chatting, and take the Hubble telescope view, because being empowered in your embodiment is simply realizing that you have a choice. You have a choice of whether or not you are going to live, your life just, what do they call it, willy-nilly. If you're just going to kind of let things happen to you, or if you are going to grab the reins and really allow yourself to be empowered to, have more information and more knowledge. And I suspect that if you're here today, it's because you're thirsty. You're thirsty for more knowledge on how to improve your life. And it is a never-ending journey, but I hope that today we can give you some tools that will really help you to empower yourself to, just really live a better life.
I love that, and I love that you shared that we really make it complicated. Sometimes it's really not as complicated as we tend to make it, yeah? And that we do have choice, and that we can make those choices in every moment. So your green room analogy is really cool, so I'm going to enjoy being in your green room.
Awesome. It's fun here. It's fun here. We get to, we get to have fun and look at things from a lighthearted and empowered perspective, rather than all this complicated, BS that I think a lot of people who are spiritual teachers, they try to make it all complicated so that you have to buy thousands of their books in order to glean this information. And it's like, no. You know what? Just work with what we, work with the information that you give. We're going to give you some awesome tools today about energetic weight loss, which is something I'm so excited about, which we just launched. So, that's really exciting to be able to share that today.
And that's what I would love to dive into next, and so we can lead into that and talk a little bit more about it. So I know that you have shared in your story with me that you just had a very successful life in many areas. You worked with celebrities, right, in Hollywood, in business and marketing. Had a very, very successful business, a great family, beautiful child, and the one thing that was sticking you was excess weight that you really didn't want on your body anymore, and you weren't able to release it with traditional diets and exercise and all of that good stuff. And that's another reason I'm so excited to be talking to you today, because so much of this summit is to get beyond that mainstream thought that if we're holding on to excess weight, or if something's not working in our bodies, that it's strictly to do with what we're eating or what we're doing with our bodies. So I would love to hear what your personal story was with your body, and what aha you had that transformed that, losing your 50 pounds. I'm sure all the listeners want to hear that too.
Well, yeah, just long story short, basically, I had a very successful career. As you mentioned, I've done a lot of marketing work with celebrities in Hollywood and New York, and across the globe, and it's awesome to be helping people live their dreams, and helping to create the marketing platforms for that. I had also launched, I'm a natural-born psychic, but I launched my psychic business professionally in 2002, and so I was having great success with that. I was actually hosting my Meet the Psychics, Meet the Healers at the Learning Annex in Minneapolis, and those were awesome events, day-long seminars, and we'd have tons of people come out and, just be talking about all this kind of stuff, and what kept going on for me, right then in 2001, 2002, is that I was overweight, And I had all this success in all these other areas of my life, and I just didn't know why. You know, I just didn't know why. I couldn't figure it out. And
Yeah.
so, you know, why I couldn't lose weight, why it was, you know, I'm a very methodical person, you know, when I set my mind to something and it's like, boom. And so I was like, so I went on a spiritual journey, and I took 6 months, and, you know, I basically had the intent of figuring out why this was happening and doing whatever it was going to take to improve my body. And so when I did that, I really discovered that myself being a natural born psychic had so much more to do with being overweight than I had any idea. And now I'm not talking about like I was, you know, like sitting here like overeating and I was like doing all kinds of stuff. No, I was exercising. I was, you know, doing nutrition program, doing the whole calorie counting thing, and I was doing all of the stuff you were supposed to physically do in order to lose weight. And, you know, it had been a struggle, a challenge of mine for, you know, several years. And there had been times when I had released it and then it came back on plus more. And, you know, it was just this thing, and it was just I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so basically what happened during this 6-month period of time, this spiritual journey that I took, I realized that what I was actually doing was I was internalizing the psychic emotional energy that I was getting from other people. I was internalizing it instead of really releasing it. And I had, at that point in time, I had already, you know, done my pranic healing courses and my Reiki master training and everything. So I had already known about like releasing energy cords and stuff like that. But really, what I needed to do and what I realized at that time was that I needed to create specific intent around releasing not only the energy cords of the people that I was connecting with that day or at that moment. Because when I learned about energy cords, I learned it from the perspective of that when you're working with a client, after you're done with each client, you cut the cords. That was the extent of the energy cord training that I had externally. And so during my 6-month spiritual journey in 2002, when I discovered the whole energetic weight loss technique that I, you know, came up with, I realized that it wasn't only about cutting cords to each client that I worked on, that it was about cutting cords to my old identity. It was about cutting cords to the people that I talked to in the grocery store, if I connected cords with them. It was about cutting cords to people throughout the day so that I was not psychically carrying around you know, the psychic energy of these people that I was connecting with throughout the day. And so that was just such a huge, you know, piece there that really, that for me was the start of, you know, being able to create my energetic weight loss system, and which, you know, it does go deeper than that, but that was the first thing that I learned when it came to energy and weight loss.
Well, this is what I was alluding to when I was introducing you, that I'm so excited to be having this station around the energy piece of it. You know, I would love for you to give us a little energy 101 on that too, or as we go along, just to make sure that you know, everybody is on the same page. But just talk to me a little bit more about what worked for you.
That sounds great, Darlene. That's awesome. So basically, kind of just an energy refresher, quick thing here. Here's how you know if you are an energetically sensitive person. Because the thing is that if you are overweight, 99.9% chances are that you are also energetically sensitive. What I mean by energetically sensitive is this. So ask yourself this question, okay? Or I'm asking you this question right now. You answer. When you walk into a room that's full of people, can you tell just like that what the energy is of the room?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's one. I mean, that's just like the easiest way of doing it. Because if you're a person that can tell that, that means you're energetically sensitive. And those of us who are energetically sensitive, and I was born that way, like we don't think anything of it. We're just like, yeah, that's how everyone is. No, it's not how everyone is. And that's one of the things that you need to, that's where I really love the whole identification of it. Once you identify yourself, as an energetically sensitive person, then you can take the steps that you need to, in order to compensate for that. There's certain things that you need to do differently in the world because of being energetically sensitive. Now, why is it that people with energetic sensitivity are overweight? Well, if you kind of think of it, like Darlene and I were chatting earlier about being overwhelmed, let's look at having a bucket here. Let's say it's an empty bucket, right? And let's say the different stresses in your life. And if you're an energetically sensitive person, a stress can be going to the grocery store, having a 60-second conversation with the clerk, and they might have a funky energy or a weird energy, and you might not recognize it, but that person might have entrained you to a lower vibration. And by entrain, what I mean is that everything is influential. Either you're being influencing to other people, or they're being influencing to you. You know what I mean? This is why people are so attracted to empowerment summits like this, and to reading books by people who are successful, to reading, to watching videos and listening to talks and seminars and such by people who are empowering to others, because that helps you to train your system and your vibration to go even higher. And if you're in the grocery store and some clerk muddles something about, maybe even something about like, I wish I could afford this whatever item that you're getting. Then you feel bad about having wealth, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so this person, because of whatever energetic or emotional or life path or soul path this person is going through, you start feeling sorry for them. But in your feeling sorry for them, you feel bad about having wealth. And so in that 60-second conversation, you might have ruined your day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Crazy.
For an energetically sensitive person, that can be completely overwhelming. Absolutely. And the thing is that, okay, first of all, what we need to realize when it comes to interacting with people out in the world is that everyone needs to be responsible for their own energetic field.
Thank you so much for saying that. Oh my gosh, yes. Please, everybody be energetically responsible. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's what it is. And it's interesting when I talk with clients, when I'm doing readings for clients. I recently had a client and we were chatting, and she was talking about all this, all these challenges that she's having with all these people in her life, and I listened for a few minutes until she was done. And then she stopped, and then I was just silent for a moment, and I could tell she was a little anxious because I didn't say anything right away. The reason I didn't say anything right away is because I was not about to feed her drama. Okay? Yeah. And that is a really important thing, because I think what happens, so much of the time, especially with energetically sensitive people, is that there's a drama that people are constantly feeding. Just constant. And I have a saying about drama, that drama is awesome on the stage or the screen. That drama is not welcome in my life.
Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so necessary because, when you're an energetically sensitive person and you're going to the grocery store and, you're having this interaction with this clerk, well, that clerk has their own responsibility to his own life. To really to improve his life. And so in that kind of situation, you can either be a psychic sponge or you can be a psychic shining ball of light. And so a psychic sponge is somebody who would, take on that guilt of, oh my gosh, I'm able to afford this and this person isn't. What am I doing wrong? I should feel guilty about having. No, you should not feel guilty about having. You should never feel guilty about providing for yourself, your body, and your family in ways that are beautiful and wonderful and abundant for you. You know what I mean?
I love that. And you know, what came to me as you were speaking is women, we've been taught that the kind thing to do is to empathize and to go into the story with someone who's got drama and trauma going on, right? And so in the efforts of being loving, we will engage in that, and then if we're not aware of what's happening in our field, then all of a sudden we're brought down to where that person is vibrating, and then we're really no help to them because we're down here, right? And then we feel yucky, and yeah, it's interesting. And women in particular, I think, can struggle with it.
Oh, I think we're taught it. I think that I think that in this culture, you know, in the American culture, and not just the American culture, really, it's just modern day culture. I think we're taught to be martyrs. You know, we're taught to be a martyr to our family. You know, when you look at magazines for men versus women, it's a really fascinating thing. And I've been in marketing for so long, and that's actually what I went to college for. And I practice what I call spiritual marketing, which is a good, awesome, high vibrational, you know, it's marketing cool things, and it's telling people about cool things. And, you know, some things are right for certain people, some things aren't. That's, you know, just the way it is. But marketing itself is a very neutral thing, just like energy. And it's a very interesting thing if you're at the grocery store and just kind of like look through the magazines that are there. Most of them are geared towards women. Some are geared towards men. The magazines that are for men are very interesting. They're very skill-oriented. There are a lot of business magazines that are geared towards men. There are a lot of sports magazines. There are a lot of fitness magazines, right? So when you look at the magazines for women, they are much more like, you know, how to put your lipstick on so that you'll get this man, or how to, you know, cinch your waist so that you can be more attractive for this person. They're not talking about how to cinch your waist for you so you can feel sexy in the mirror. They're talking about how you can modify yourself to please someone else. That essentially is what women are raised with. I don't think just in the present day. I think it's been that way for many generations. But it's a challenge to overcome, and I think that as we recognize it, you know, and especially as energetically sensitive people, when you're walking around and exactly like you said, when you see someone in need, you know, you try to empathize with them and go into that drama, you know, that's where, you know, for myself as a reader, I'm very particular about the conversations that I have with people, and I always tell people, you know, when I'm doing readings for them, I'm not interested in engaging in your drama. I mean, I ask them to tell me what's going on in their lives, but I tell them, quite frankly, just point blank, I'm not going to engage in your drama. I am going to help you to see what is going on in your life path right now, and in order to move beyond it. You know what I mean?
I do, and what a gift you're really giving them to not stay in that with them, so that there's another possibility that can unfold. There's that energy is so low that how you can't shift and change from that place. You're just going to hang out. You need to take that personal responsibility so that you can make another choice. I love that. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me to the sacred sovereignty of our own energetic field. Remember, I said a moment ago that everyone should be responsible for their own energetic field. That includes every listener who's watching today or listening today. And how do we do that? Because I think a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people want to have the intention of that. And so how do we do that? Well, basically, the first way to doing that, and the first way if you are somebody who's dealing with some excess weight on your body, and it doesn't mean that you have to be 50 pounds overweight in order to be somebody that the energetic weight loss system would benefit. You can even be 10 pounds overweight, you know, and we'll chat here in just a minute about some of the different reasons, identification-wise, why people keep weight on them. But, you know, let's start here actually with just acknowledging what it means to really have your own sacred space. And basically what that means is that you are allowing yourself to be powerful. I'm going to say that one more time because this is a summit for women. And so the reason I want to say that one more time is because women generally have, you know, we've been raised in a culture where being empowered and being in your full power makes you a bitch. And you know what I say? Embrace it.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Exactly. I say embrace that energy. So that means when you are at the grocery store, I mean, just look at just even the way that I'm saying it right now. When you're at the grocery store and you're in that line and that guy says something about, you know, oh, I wish I could afford something like that, and kind of having an attitude like that, you know what you could say to that man? You could say something inspirational. Mm-hmm. Instead of empathizing from a perspective of bringing yourself down, feeling guilty for something that you have that person doesn't. How about something really super quick so that, you know, you're not there to be a long-term spiritual teacher to that person. You're having a 60-second interaction. In that 60-second interaction, you could choose to say something like, you know, well, you know that following your inspiration is an awesome way to increase abundance in your life. Or something like, you know, I wish you many blessings and you know, all of the abundance that you desire in your life. Something that takes that energy from hijacking yours, which is what so many people in the world do. They don't know it and they don't intend to do it. I tell you, they really don't. A lot of people, they don't intend to do it, but you know, people have a tendency of when they're feeling icky, you know, of not, they don't even understand. They just don't have the energetic recognition that they're bringing other people down. As an emotionally well, if you're energetically sensitive, it just kind of automatically means that you're emotionally sensitive. And you know, when you're like that, it's really important to, when you're out in the world, here's what you do. You claim your own space by recognizing your own sacred sovereignty. And that means being empowered. And that means being unaffected by other people's energy. You simply, when you walk out of the house or when you pick up that phone, when you're making any kind of connection with anyone else, even if it's someone in your own household, before you get out of bed each day, before you walk out of your bedroom, wherever it is that you're actually going to be having an interaction with another person, what you do is you simply say to yourself, I claim the right to my own energy field. And I claim the right for me to be happy today. Because do you know how many miserable people there are in the world?
Yeah, there's a lot, aren't there? Yeah.
There's a ton, and they all want you to be miserable with them.
Yeah, and then you can go down that guilt thing that you're not miserable. It's just like what we're talking about in the grocery store. I love that you are the invitation to claim your sacred sovereignty, to claim that space. I remember hearing you on another talk where that just really resonated with me deeply. That we're in this time of unity and we're all one, and I believe you spoke about that. And yes, we are all connected and we're all one, and we also have our own field that we have the right to stand in and claim and do what we need so that this, you know, is supporting our well-being. So I love that. If you want to talk more about that, I'd love to hear about that too.
Well, you know, my take on that, on the whole we are all one thing, I think it's a bunch of BS, and I completely respect everyone's opinion, that everybody has different opinions, but I have my own as well. I don't like that. The reason that I don't like that is because I was born as a psychic, okay? You know, and And I know so many other people that are. You know, most of the people that end up working with me, even if they know it or not, are psychically inclined. You know, they all have a certain higher level of intuition. Everyone on the planet has intuition, definitely. It's just there's different varying degrees, you know, and you can always improve it, of course. The reason that I'm not a fan of the whole "we are all one" thing is because I believe that ego and separation are extremely important. If you're not having that separation between you and someone else, how do you know who you really are? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so oftentimes what happens with people when they are dealing with being overweight is what's happening is they're not acknowledging that separateness between them and someone else. You know, and I think that separateness can be approached from a very graceful, very, very graceful perspective. You know, it's not about, oh, here's my ego and my ego is bad. That's a lot of, there's a lot of talk about that in the spiritual cultures nowadays. And, you know, I think the ego is fabulous. I think the ego is fabulous because the ego is what makes sure that you have dinner on your table. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the subconscious and the subconscious and the spiritual self and all these other selves, they're all in all these different realms, and they're remembering the past and they're remembering the future and all this stuff. They don't care if you eat that night. Your ego cares if you eat that night. Your ego cares whether or not you're taking care of your family. Your ego cares whether or not you're putting the work into your business or your dreams or your career that you need to in order to define your separateness, in order to live the lifestyle that you want. And I think that the ego really can get a bad rap because of the fact that it can be challenging for the ego to move forward from one place to the other. And that actually ties into the whole energetic weight loss thing in a very smooth way, and I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because when you are in a place where you have been overweight, there is a certain kind of a way that you look at yourself when you're overweight, and there's a certain way that other people look at you when you're overweight. There's a certain kind of status involved, if you will, with either being the perfect weight, you know, with being overweight. And I will tell you this, that because the ego likes to have things stay the same, and I think that's where the ego gets the bad rap, because the ego is kind of like a child at times, or kind of like a dog, where, you know, the whole Pavlov's dog thing, where they ring the bell and they're going to bring the food, right? And so the dogs get used to when you ring the bell, you bring the food. So what that's doing is that's training the ego. So the ego likes to have some predictability. And so what's happening is that when you meet people in your life, let's say you meet someone and you're overweight, because here's what happened to me. I met some friends while I was overweight, and they were skinnier than me, and so to them, even though I was a strong and powerful woman, I was still fat. And so to them, in their minds, that placed them in a social status above me because I was fat, and they weren't. And then I lost weight, and then I was thinner than them. Some of them, totally cool about it. Other ones started calling me a skinny bitch. All right, started, you know, having all kinds of different attitude towards me, and I actually had to release some people in my life after I lost weight. I didn't know that was going to be the case. Yes, I'm a psychic and blah blah blah, but you know, there's still things that surprise you. That surprised me. It hurt my feelings. It made me feel bad. Now I look at it 10 years later, and I recognize that for what it was. And the thing is that every single one of you that is watching this right now that has any kind of weight, you know, that you want to lose, that you're dealing with, or any kind of body issue that makes you self-conscious, what you need to understand is that because people's egos have a certain amount of familiarity that they really like to associate you with, you are going to make people uncomfortable when you change.
Yeah.
And you're going to make people uncomfortable when you change, whether or not it's changing your body, or you're learning something new, or you're enhancing your career, or you're moving to a different state, or you're doing something else. You are going to make people uncomfortable. And I want every single one of you that's watching this today to feel comfortable with making other people uncomfortable.
Yes, yes. That's where the stretching is happening, right? Like if things aren't getting uncomfortable, then it's just the same. And you know what's so interesting? I was having a conversation with another speaker who is a soul style coach today, and I was sharing with her that my essence was going through, well, my essence is, I was going through some shifts, and so how I was dressing myself was changing, and I got all kinds of funky comments from the people in my life because I wasn't showing up the same way. I didn't look the same way, and I think it's what you're referring to with when you release weight, or when you become successful in your job, all of a sudden you don't fit into that mold that everybody's used to being in. And yeah, it's great to shake things up.
No, absolutely, and it happens, you know, just no matter what it is. And you know what, I actually wrote a blog post, and I just pulled it up here because I think that it's just really fitting for this conversation right now. And it's just to help people a little bit more with being comfortable with making others uncomfortable. It's not that you're doing something different in order to make other people feel uncomfortable.
Right.
It's more of that you simply have a greater understanding that maybe, you know, somebody in this moment is going to be looking at you a certain way. You know, and that if you change to do something better for yourself, they might respond a little differently. It's not about being mad about it. It's not about being harsh necessarily about it. Understand that some people need a little bit of time in order to kind of get used to things, and other people simply aren't going to be able to get used to things.
Right.
You know, and there's going to be certain boundaries that you're going to need to put up there. Like I became a vegetarian after I did my 6-month spiritual journey on, you know, finding what was right for me. I decided to become a vegetarian. I have no judgment for anyone who's not a vegetarian. It's not something that I go out in the world and preach. It's just something that I felt was right for me. And some people in my family had a really, really, really hard time dealing with that. And I think it's because they thought that I was challenging their eating styles, even though I wasn't. Right. It was something different for them. And so, you know, even like 12 years later, my grandma's still like, oh, you want some steak? I'm like, no, thanks, Grammy. You know,
you'll hope maybe that you'll have some steak, right?
Yeah, or milk, because I don't do like I'm 97% vegan at this point, and it's just what my body wanted. And so my Grammy will be like, you know, oh, you need the milk for your bones, you know, and I'm like, no, thank you, Grammy. I know you need it for you, and you know, it's just that kind of thing. So, all right, I just pulled up my blog post. Okay, I'm just gonna say this here really quick because I think this is it just came out the other day. Actually, this kind of birthed itself the other day when I was in a place where I started stepping into something new for myself. You know, because there's still things that I'm doing that, you know, stretch my own, you know, where I've been and everything. So, all right. So here's a little something I have learned about success along the way. A, you need to be willing to be the odd one in the room. B, you need to be willing to do things differently than 99% of all other people. C, you need to be willing to make people uncomfortable. That's right, unfreaking comfortable. D, sometimes you need to shut up and not tell your latest fantabulous idea to people who would not understand your vision. All right. E, you need to be willing to create your own culture and not fall too deeply into other people's cultures. And that's what I like to call kind of living on the fringes of different cultures. Because if you ingrain yourself too deeply with any kind of group, there's a group mentality that'll take over. You can, you know, my friend Kevin Hogan we were actually at his boot camp here in Vegas. I'm in Vegas right now while we're filming this. and he was here. We were here in March for his boot camp, and he actually gave a good bit of time during his influence boot camp, chatting about how people, when they are connected to a group mentality, how they will do things that they would not ordinarily do on their own, and that is not always a healthy thing. So it's very careful to be creating your own culture. Instead of trying to fit in, create your own.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, totally.
Yeah, and when it comes to business, you need to be able to, have your services or your music, whatever it is, sound different than anyone else's in order to really stand out. And that's when it comes to business. So, and maybe that's your dress or whatever, wherever it is that you're trying to be successful at, make sure that you're standing out. Make sure that you're doing something to be a little bit different. And then G, you need to be okay with people not liking you because you challenge their ideas, because you challenge what is familiar to them, because you challenge their current paradigm or worldview. Yes. It makes some people uncomfortable. And you know what? As I mentioned before, I had to become comfortable myself with certain people in my life leaving my life when I decided to evolve. And that was, and so it was challenging at the time, and I think that it was mostly challenging at the time because I wasn't so prepared for it. Now that I've had a decade of, growth through that, I can see it much more clearly for what it is, and that's really where the whole energetic weight loss movement, started. I mean, it started with me. It didn't start out to. I wasn't setting out to create some program for millions of people to use. Yeah. I set out to create healing for my life and to be able to have a physical vessel, my physical body, be something that for me was going to be comfortable and that, wasn't having, discomfort or illnesses or ailments, that really weren't necessary. And so when so basically kind of how it birthed into a whole course, we have it available for an online course now because, I've been doing private sessions in Minneapolis for years around this, and then I've had, my phone clients that call internationally have been wanting to get a hold of it too, and really, be able to utilize it. So I actually have a new online video course that we just launched for it. So it's available to anybody to be able to utilize the techniques in it. But I just kind of wanted to just give a little bit of a breakdown of how to use, of why it is, really that one, would use the energetic weight loss techniques. And then, if it's okay with you, I'd love to walk people through a really quick cord cutting meditation.
I would love that. I've been asking each of the speakers to give us a practical tool that everybody can take away, and I'm sure that if this is new information, there's a lot of people listening who are going to want to be cutting those cords and creating that sovereign space for themselves. So I'd love that, yeah. And can I just say, too, that I really celebrate you for being unique and allowing your own experience to flow through and giving your gifts in this way. Just want to acknowledge that and celebrate that. Not walking anyone else's path but your own, and then this is what's come through. So I just think it's super cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome.
So share with us more about the actual energetic weight loss, and you had mentioned there's 2 factors to creates excess weight. Yeah.
So basically, the 2 factors that are involved for energetic weight loss, there's only 2 reasons that you're overweight. Okay, if anyone's dealing with any kind of overweight issues, there's only one of 2 reasons. It's really simple. I like to keep things simple. As I mentioned before, I'm not about complicated anything. I'm about simple. Simple. And breaking it down just, as easily to follow as possible. And so basically there's 2 reasons you're overweight. 1, it's because you are energetically toxic, or 2, it's because you're physically toxic. Now let's talk about one real quick here. So if you are energetically toxic, that could mean that you have, let's say, had 1,000 little interactions, like this grocery store interaction that we talked about earlier. Well, let's say you had 1,000 of those interactions over 10 years, and instead of it being just, you know, a little thing here and there, like apples in the bucket, like we were talking about earlier, you know, so let's say that each time you have an interaction with somebody and it brings down your vibration, it's an apple in that bucket. And then, you know, if you've had 1,000 of those over a certain amount of time, that is just adding up and adding up. And then try to lift that bucket once it has 1,000 apples in it.
Yeah, it's pretty darn heavy.
Exactly, exactly. And so even though it might not sound like a huge deal, you know, to have one interaction with somebody and have it be a lowering negative response for 20 minutes or an hour or the rest of the day, whatever it is for you, it really does add up. And so energetic toxicity comes from, you know, basically being connected to people, places, or situations that bring your energy field down. And that's what we're gonna do meditation here in a little bit to just really help you to be able to release that.
Awesome.
And the second reason that people are overweight is because of physical toxicity. And so I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. I'm not saying that you know, you should eat Oreos every day, all day, and that's all you should eat, and then you can do all these energetic techniques, and wow, it's going to work. No, sorry. They call me the practical psychic for a reason, all right? This is about being practical. It's about being practical, but it's not, you know, what I found for myself is that calorie counting is for the birds. Like for me, like when I lost weight was when I threw the whole calorie counting thing out the window. When I lost weight was when I actually started adding more fats into my diet. I have coconut oil each day. I actually use coconut oil as a lotion, olive oil all the time, healthy fats. I don't count calories. You know,
did that come from your own awareness? Was that just your body's wisdom that told you needed more fat?
Yeah. Yeah, and I, you know, and the whole, you know, counting calories thing. I mean, you feel it out and feel what's right for you. The reason that I say that is because I don't, you know, people call me a guru at times, and I'm not so comfortable with that term because I like to teach people how to be empowered themselves and how to really utilize the techniques and the tools that I teach and make it your own. So you know what? If you find that counting calories and stuff like that is something that really works for you, if that's something that helps you to make sure that you have your carrots each day, or your broccoli each day, or your greens, or whatever it is, if that's something if that methodical kind of thinking works for you, go with it. Wonderful. It doesn't work for me.
Me either.
I am methodical when it comes to my business. When I'm putting together a program, when I'm putting together a course, you know, coming up with the topic and the outlines of the chapters, and then shooting the videos, and then shooting the promo videos, and then making the websites, and you know, that for me is like this. And you know, in other areas it just doesn't work for me. And so that's where you really make it your own. So physical toxicity can be you know, where maybe you are eating unhealthfully. Like for me, what I discovered back in 2002 was that I am wheat and dairy sensitive. That I'm actually allergic to both of those things. And so for me, that was adding just this toxicity, which, you know, and I went to nutritionists. I went to different nutritionists throughout the years, and you know, and so I was eating what they told me to eat and following their whole calorie guidelines and everything. And so, you know, and then I discovered that I have sensitivity to wheat and dairy, and so I eliminated those two things. So for me to eat wheat and dairy, that would be creating a physical toxicity for me, where it might not cause physical toxicity for you to do that. And that's really where it's about making it your own. And so that's what, you know, in the program itself, in the online course, we actually go into, you know, one of the modules actually goes into how do you discover what is really right for you for your eating lifestyle. How do you discover the different ways of understanding where your physical toxicity is? Because some people have it and some people don't. Some people are eating really healthfully, and all they need to do is add in these energetic pieces, where I train you how to really work with your energy field and your aura to release weight, and then it comes off like that. And some people need to modify what they're eating as well. It's just a little bit too much information to go into right now.
Yeah, I love that you broke it down into those two pieces, though. And this whole thought, it's true for me that my body does know what I need, and my body's different from your body, and it's different from everyone else's body, and to connect into that wisdom and make those choices. And you're right, some people it may really work for them to count the calories or to work with some specific eating regime, and others it doesn't. So, and then also your piece about not everybody's going to have the physical toxicity, but that the energetic piece could be really what's going to unlock it for them. So, cool.
Well, absolutely. And what's a really interesting thing, what I found with people that are eating healthfully, because that was where I was at, in a lot of ways, because even after I had discovered my wheat and dairy sensitivity, I still had excess weight even after I had eliminated those. And so for me, where I was at when I finally released that excess was I was at a place where I had so much of the first one, of the energetic toxicity, that if you have 1,000 apples in that overwhelmed bucket, in that energetically overwhelmed bucket, if you have 1,000 apples in there, what happens is that it spills over and it creates physical toxicity, which really sucks. But recognizing that that's what it is, because I was one of those people where I was eating, what I needed to do, and it still wasn't releasing, and that was because, it was really spilling over and into that. And so, in the course, I go into some deeper topics of like, how do you discover, the different things in your life, and how do you discover what those different triggers are for you? Because it's all about making it your own, and really, really just learning how your energy field and your body talk to you, because the thing is and one of the things that I think that is oftentimes overlooked, I think that people are so concerned with feeling better and better and better and better and better that they forget that if you feel uncomfortable about something, or if something makes you feel bad, that it's trying to tell you something.
Yes,
and I think so many people, kind of have the whole, are so addicted to feeling good all of the time that they don't recognize that sometimes you need to take a step back. So if you're having an interaction with somebody and it makes you feel icky, and actually here's an example, because last week I had this interaction with a serviceman actually, and it was a very uncomfortable reaction. And I was thinking about it for a few hours afterwards. I mean, I'm not completely perfect. I still, I cut my cords. I did everything, that I tell people to do, right? But it was like such a strongly intense thing where basically he was at the house to repair something, a piece of equipment of mine. And I did not feel that he was treating my piece of equipment with the gentleness and the respect that it really just should have been physically handled with. And I told him that. I said, I would really, appreciate it for you to be much more gentle with my equipment. You're kind of manhandling it. And I said it with a little, I didn't say it in a mean way. I said it from a perspective of saying, of just being very honest and very straightforward. Well, I don't know if it's that I'm blonde and he's used to like having a different perception of what blondes are supposed to do, or that, I look a lot younger than I am or something. I don't really know. He did not respond well. He did not respond well to this, and he actually damaged the piece of equipment a little bit because of his manhandling of it, right? And so it was this whole thing, and it was like this whole uncomfortable thing, right? And it made me feel really uncomfortable, and I was feeling uncomfortable afterwards, and I acknowledged it, and I was chatting with a friend of mine, just kind of like, you know, processing that, right? You know, a little while afterwards. And what I realized is that the reason that I felt uncomfortable after that scenario was because I myself was being completely straightforward and completely in my power, and I was being completely honest with this person. And he was in this ego place. My sense of it was that he was not used to women talking to him this way, that he was used to women being much more, oh, okay, I'm the housewife and you're here to fix something and I'm just going to like let you just do what you're going to do. No. I was very much like, this is my property here. You're here, you know, to fix it. And I had the intent of it going in a very, you know, natural direction. But
Right.
that kind of a thing is something that, you know, for a lot of people, when they're in an uncomfortable situation, when something makes them feel uncomfortable, instead of them facing it head on, like I faced that situation head on. You know, instead of me just sitting back and doing what he expected me to do as a woman, he expected me to just sit there and shut up because I'm not, you know, as mechanically inclined as he was, so I shouldn't say anything, right?
Yeah.
I chose to look at what was making me feel uncomfortable because it was making me feel uncomfortable that he was not physically treating my equipment like, you know, I wanted it to be treated. And so instead of looking at that uncomfortableness of how can I just push that away and how can I bury it, I looked at it head on. And I'm going to encourage everyone watching and listening today, you know, to do that as well. And any time that you are, you know, in a state where you feel that something's uncomfortable, really look at what it is that's trying to tell you. Sometimes that discomfort is trying to tell you that you need to speak up. Sometimes it's trying to tell you to get out of a certain kind of environment. Sometimes it's trying to tell you that, you know, maybe there's certain person or persons in your life that maybe aren't really positive and healthy for you to be around. But to really look at that discomfort and come at things head on instead of all of the kind of sweeping it under the rug, which is another thing that I think that women are really taught in the world.
Oh gosh, I know. I would love if you would take us through that energy cord cutting meditation.
Let's do that. That sounds great. All right. Well, all right. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do is just go ahead and take 3 nice deep breaths and close your eyes. Because what I want you to do is really just kind of get into a nice and centered space. So take that second breath. And make sure you take that nice third breath and then just blow it out really nice and clearly. And now what I'd like you to do right now is think about any kind of person, place, or situation in your life that makes you feel uncomfortable. And just briefly think about it. If you can't think of anything specifically, then just have the intention of releasing. Then just have the intention of releasing energy from you, that which is not yours. Okay. But if there is something kind of negative or kind of that's been bugging you a little bit, that's on your mind, just connect with that. And if there is something that's been bothering you, something or someone or some kind of an interaction, recognize where it is you feel it. Oftentimes people will feel it in the solar plexus chakra because that's a huge energy center. But just recognize it, what chakra that you feel it in, and where that's at. And so what we're going to do is your hands are going to become hands of light. And so now go ahead and open your eyes. And what I'm going to ask you to do is take your hands together and just do this. And what you're going to do is you're going to energize your hands. All right? And I'm actually going to stand up for this because it's better. And so if you are watching this and can stand up, it would be better for you to do so. You can still do this sitting down, though. Either way works.
I'm going to move too.
All right.
It's behind my chair.
Well, yep. I'm just scooting mine out of the way here. All right. So just keep energizing your hands there for a moment. And remember to think about that person, place, situation, anything that makes you just feel kind of uncomfortable. And then what we're going to do is your hands are going to become swords of light. And these are going to release the energetic connections from you to that person, place, or thing. Again, if you don't have anything or anyone specific that you want to release a cord to, then just have the intention of releasing cords to that which is not yours. And so what we're going to do, let's just do this. And your hands are going to become swords of light. And just go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. And reach your hands up over your head and then just bring it all the way down to the ground nice and quickly. And have the intention of releasing all the energy cords from the front of your body and your energy field, and then just giving it to Mother Earth. Clap your hands a couple times. Release that. Go like this a couple more times if you feel that it needs to be released. Okay? And then we're going to do this one more time down the back this time. So go ahead and take another nice deep breath in. Raise your hands up. And as you exhale, bring your hands down the back. And then just reach your hands up when you can't bring them down anymore. And just kind of scoot them down there as hard as you can. This is our own energetic aerobics.
I love it.
So just release this. Clap your hands anywhere around your field where you feel like there's just kind of some stagnant energy. And what you're doing is you are releasing the energy back to where it came, and you're releasing any excess to Mother Earth. And so that's just a neutral thing that we're doing. And so what I want you to do right now is just kind of put your hands in prayer position and take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to really feel what it feels like to be within your own energetic field, to have only you in your own energetic field. And for some of you, it's going to be your first time actually feeling this, because so many people are so used to carrying everyone else's energy around with them. And I'm here to tell you that that's not necessary. In fact, it's unhealthy. And so what you're feeling right now is what it feels like to just be you. And by being you just in this moment and by being in your own energy field, you're allowing yourself to really evolve into that which is, you know, right for you, and to really evolve yourself and to heal your body and your mind and your spirit in ways that are right for you.
That was awesome, Wildflower. I feel really great right now, and you know, I play with these cords and releasing and sending information to others, and it's been a busy day with a lot of things going on, and evidently there were some more things that needed to be cleared that were in my field. So it feels very yummy right now. Thank you for that.
Good, good, awesome, very good. And now I just want to point out that when we do this, and as I'm talking, you might actually feel some more stuff that wants to be released. And so, you know, as you're listening or watching this, if you feel that, just go ahead and kind of remove. You know, you can just release it, you know, throughout the day. And you know what? You can do this throughout the day. You can be in a meeting somewhere. Here's what I do sometimes in meetings. Like if I'm having a meeting with somebody and it's like, there's some icky energy that someone's trying to throw at me.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to lift my hand up so you can kind of see it right now. But normally I'll kind of like lean my hand over the chair and I'll just kind of do this motion towards the ground so like nobody can see me.
Do your other side. I can't see it. Do your other hand.
Oh, you can't see it this way?
No, because the little film strip's in the way. Yeah, do it.
Oh, okay. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of lay my hand on the armrest and just kind of.
I love it.
Just kind of do this, and if you do it like really slowly every so often, I just think you're just getting there to whatever. But I'm having the intention of releasing energy, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. So that's something you can do. If you feel someone swinging stuff at you, because here's what happens: the more knowledgeable that you get about about releasing your cords, it will make you more aware when people are trying to connect cords with you. And so when you feel that start to happen, I mean, hey, it can be awesome to connect cords when you're making love, or when you're having a really awesome conversation with a good friend or something like that. But when it's in any kind of a thing that's making you feel icky, and I mean, it could even be with your partner. And I wanted to specify real quick here that this is not releasing the bonds that you have.
I was just going to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not releasing the bonds that you have with people. So, you know, that same partner that you made love to yesterday, you might have had a conversation today that just really sucked that you just need to release, right? You're not releasing the bonds. And I always put it this way. I talk about my son when he was little and he wouldn't clean his room. Well, you know, that can make you mad as a mom, and you want your kid to clean your room. And so that puts you in a state where, you know, you're upset. I didn't want to communicate with my kid from that place of upsetness. So what I would do is when I found myself being upset with him because he didn't clean his room, I would cut my cords to him in that scenario so that I could talk to him from a perspective where I wasn't bringing that anger or that frustration with it, so I could just talk to him. So it doesn't break the bonds that you have with people. There's a totally different technique if you want to release bonds with people. That's not something I actually have on, you know, on an online training kind of thing. That's more of a one-on-one training kind of thing, because that's a really intense kind of thing. But this is just releasing the superficial energy cords that connect each day with conversations and things like that. And so, you know, as we're going here, and as you go throughout the day, if you feel things that need to be released, you can just do it simple like this. You don't have to. You can do it in front of people. I know that I've had conversations with people where I sit here. I'll show you. Where I sit here and I'll hold my hand in a certain spot. Like if I'm having a conversation with somebody and the conversation needs to happen, and I feel that they're trying to pull at one of my chakras, you can hold your hand, you know, by a chakra to kind of shield it. You can hold stones. You know, you can bring stones with you. If you know you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody, holding a stone, bringing something grounding with you, something like that, you know, is awesome. And all of this really helps, you know, whether you have issues with weight or not. All of this helps to make it so that you're not adding more apples in that overwhelm bucket.
Oh, it's really invaluable, and it's information that is coming to the forefront now. A lot of people, that I think this is new for them to take in, and to just be energetically aware, be sovereign in your own space, and claim it, and not take on other people's stuff. I love the little finger flick, and I mean, it's going to support you with not being an overwhelm, being clear and grounded, because you actually know what your own energy is. You don't it's not all muddled up with everybody else's. I'm more focused, more empowered for sure, because you're connecting to your own energy. So it's great. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I know that you've also been generous to provide a free gift to everyone that's participating in this summit, and just another way that they can dive into more of what is flowing through you with your work and what you have to offer. So I would love if I'm going to let you share what that is. The link is going to be below, and I'm going to let you describe what that is that you're offering to everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so the link is going to be below, and if you are in a place right now where you cannot see it, you can go to this following link to download it as well. Excuse me. It's myenergeticweightloss.com/empowered, and the last word is EMPOWERED. One more time, that's myenergeticweightloss.com/empowered. with an ED at the end. And so basically what this is this is a free video that I just wanted to give you all, you know, just as a way to help empower women everywhere. Okay, so what this is, it's an energy boost is the best way to put it. It's an energy boost, and what I do is I walk you through a guided meditation that balances your chakras. Plus, it puts a protective orb of ocean Reiki around your aura to really help you be peaceful, calm, and serene. And it's it's one of the techniques that we actually do in the energetic weight loss system itself. And so I just wanted to give people just a freebie, kind of a preview of what you would get in that. And so this is, I believe it's about a 10-minute video, and so you can just watch it on the website. And or you can download it, and basically it's something you can kind of just watch throughout your day. It's not going to make you groggy like a lot of hypnosis. Like I like doing hypnosis audios and videos and stuff myself, but one of the things I find about it is that it kind of puts me in a funky state where I'm like not as productive for the next hour because I'm like much more in the spiritual realms. What this does, and what I really strive to do in all of my programs, is create really practical ways of keeping your body and your spiritual balance with having your passion in your life, and really combining those two together. I think that there's so much out there that's so heady, that's so you know, crown chakra based, and it's so much about getting out of your body. This is about getting into your body and feeling good in your body. So regardless
Let's get into our bodies. That's why we're on Earth, right?
Exactly.
To actually have fun in bodies, yeah? Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for offering that to everybody. And I know that if they'd like to dive in more with what you have created with the energetic weight loss, that you're providing a link on there that will, on the free gift, right, so that they can click on that and go in and learn more about your program and how they can work more deeply with you with that, right?
Yeah, on that same page. So we'll have, so the video is at the top with the energy boost video, and then there's also going to be information there on how you can get access to my energetic weight loss online course. And this was something that I'm so excited to finally be launching it. We've just launched it, and I'm in Vegas right now doing some promotions, and are actually putting together a conference that's going to be down here sometime soon. So if you are, you know, interested in that, be sure to let me know, because we're going to be having a retreat, an energetic weight loss retreat down here in Vegas sometime soon here. But with the energetic weight loss online course, basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be walking you through the two different ways of how you know, why you gain weight, the energetic toxicity or the physical toxicity. And what I do is I really break them down. And it's a video series, so it's, you know, I wanted to create a video series because for me, I'm such a visual learner and an auditory learner, and so it's great for someone, even if you don't want to watch it, even if you just want to kind of like have it on or burn it onto a CD and, you know, or a MP3 player and put it on the car. It just breaks down the different areas of both one, so it really helps you to recognize, like the grocery store might be one area for you, it might be one trigger area. Like for me, I have different trigger areas, and when I am going to go into a different kind of trigger area, I call it, there are certain things that I need to do to prepare myself, and there's even certain flower essences that I'll take at different times. And so that's how we start the program, the energetic weight loss course, is start by walking you through really identifying what triggers you to put on weight. That's the first part of the course. The middle part of the course is creating your program, your personalized program to release weight, and you know what that's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, finding out and discovering what your personal eating prescription is going to be. And there's a lot of different, there's different choices that you have. You can be more structured about it, or you can be more freeing about it. And I talk about the different ways that you can really just discern what is right for you, because some people want the structure, and there's that built in as well. And some people want freedom, so that's there as well. And then the final part of the program, the third part, is where we work with maintenance, because this makes no sense to anybody to do unless there's going to be a maintenance plan involved, because that's a big piece that I think a lot of other programs are missing. Well, first of all, people aren't coming at weight loss from an energetic perspective, so that's one piece that is extremely different from other programs. But we're not just leaving you hanging once you lose weight. It's not like, oh my gosh, what do we do here? Because the fact is that you're energetically sensitive if you're overweight, period. If you have struggled with being overweight. So what we do in the final part of the program, the maintenance part, is really teach you how to go through your everyday life. We teach you also how to talk to people when they become uncomfortable from you losing weight, and to really help empower you to know that you're on your right path. Because for me, I didn't have that at the time, truthfully, when I was going through my weight loss. So when there were people in my life that were uncomfortable by it, I didn't really know what to do. I was just kind of winging it. Now I have helped so many people lose weight themselves, and done readings for them and intuitive life coaching on a regular basis for them. So now I have a system in place for teaching people how to deal with that whole uncomfortableness that comes from it. And as I mentioned before, it's about facing it head on, and just recognizing that, hey, by you living your dreams, you're going to make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay. It's not about shoving things in their face. It's not about being, it's not about intentionally making people uncomfortable, but the fact is that it's going to happen, and we really teach you in that how to work with that and how to deal with that. So I'm just super excited to be able to offer this to people worldwide now online, because it was so many years that people had to come to Minneapolis, where I've been based out of, to get it. And so I'm going to read that link one more time, because you can actually purchase the program from this link as well. And this is also the link for the free energy boost video as well. It is myenergeticweightloss.com/empowered, EMPOWERED, myenergeticweightloss.com/empowered.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for offering this to the community. And if you are interested in working with WildFlower with her energetic weight loss program, then go and click that link, and you'll see how you can learn more about what she's up to and how you can get involved in it. And I'm, again, just so thrilled that you took this time out today and shared all of your insight and wisdom and gave us a whole new perspective on our energy bodies and how they're affecting our physical bodies, and how we can claim our energetic space and lighten up and enjoy embodiment. Just thank you so much, WildFlower. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to be here, and I'm really happy to be sharing this information with people, because I feel that this is what really makes the world a better place, by teaching people to be empowered, and teaching people how to, teaching women, how to own their own power. Women really do run the world. We have so many hats that we wear as women. We multitask, faster than anyone else.
Yep.
And it is so important for us to just, really take the time. And it does take time. It does take time to take care of yourself, but you're worth it. And, that's what I want to say to you, the audience today that's listening to this or watching this. You're worth it. It's worth it to, take the time that's necessary to really, heal whatever it is that needs healing. And once you have found that healing, to really just live a life of joy.
I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody who tuned in and was listening today. And stay tuned. We have more interviews coming with more incredible wisdom and practical tools and tips that you can use so that you can experience empowered embodiment. Bye for now. Bye, WildFlower.